Did OpenAI just really kill my AI agent startup? In this video, I'll build the same agent and deploy it to production using our platform and compare it side by side with OpenAI's agent builder. At the end, I'll also share my final opinion on OpenAI's agent builder and who should use it. Additionally, I will share how you as an AI agent developer can prepare for what's coming next after this release. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So here's the new agent builder by OpenAI. And I mean, first thing that stands out is that it's still drag and drop. I mean, it's 2025, it's almost 2026, and it seems like OpenAI is still thinking in old paradigms from a decade ago. This is definitely not what the future is going to look like. You can actually export your agents in code here. So that's actually definitely one of the best features of Agent Builder that I haven't seen on many other platforms. But the thing is that the source of truth here is the workflow. It's this good old JSON file that they then convert into code. And of course, the question is, why would you do that if GPT-5 can literally create workflows better than 99% of people today? And this is what it looks like on our platform. So on our platform, actually the source of truth is the code. So you can see the code of your agent here. And then we convert this into the flow like this. So the agency that we are going to be rebuilding today, it's the agency that I use almost every day. It's called YouTube Content Agency, and it essentially helps me to generate new high-performing content ideas based on all the outliers from YouTube and all the recent news. Honestly, like all the last videos that you see on my YouTube channel, the ideas for those videos were generated by this agency, not by myself, including this one. So it consists of 5 different agents. It also has a couple of MCP servers. You can see the MCP servers on this diagram yet. And it also contains a few custom tools. So let's now go ahead and let's try to rebuild this using OpenAI's Agent Builder. So what's cool about Agent Builder is that it's a fully agentic workflow platform. It's not an automation platform. A lot of people are trying to compare it to n8n, and it's not even close to what n8n is. So all of the actions in this Agent Builder are performed either by agents or by MCPs. And I actually think this is kind of cool. You know, OpenAI didn't need to rebuild all those connectors because open source community has already done it for you. So there are plenty of marketplaces, like for example, Smithery AI, where today you can find basically connectors to any other platform. And so to rebuild this agency, we will need the main YouTube content strategy agent. We will also need the title generation agent and also a newsletter agent. And the last agent that I also added in that agency on our platform is a Grok news agent. So this agent on our platform is made to analyze the latest viral tweets from Twitter. So you can see here, this agent only fetches tweets that have over 100,000 views and only those that have been posted within the last 14 days. However, obviously, we can't really do that on OpenAI's Agent Builder. So this is already the first limitation that we are running into right now, is that you can't really use any other models except for OpenAI. And although I do prefer OpenAI's models primarily for agent orchestration and agentic workflows, there are, of course, many use cases where OpenAI's models are not the best. So unfortunately, this agent we already can't recreate. So now let me just copy the prompts from my agents and then just insert them into OpenAI's Agent Builder agents. Okay, so now the next step is to add the MCP servers. So for this agency, one of the most important things is this YouTube Toolbox MCP server. And in our platform, everything is deployed together. So this means that you don't have to host the server anywhere else. you can just put it in the same sandbox where the agent is running, and the agent will call this server in the same environment without any extra latency to make a request or for your MCP server to start. So this is already another limitation of OpenAI's Agent Builder. It only supports remote MCP servers, which means that before you can connect your MCP server to your agents, you actually have to deploy it separately as well. So in order to deploy the server, I'm going to use Smithery AI. We also have a playbook in our school community, how you can deploy any server on Railway yourself and even create custom tools with it. So here, Smithery provides a deployment URL, which I just have to copy. And then I'm going to go back to Agent Builder and then add this hosted MCP server tool with the custom connection to my MCP server that I just deployed. So let's click Add. And now our YouTube content strategy agent has access to this tool. Okay, awesome. So next, we also need to add a special Readwise MCP server for the newsletter agent. And unfortunately, this server is not on Smithery, but I do think this server was on Glama, which is another similar MCP marketplace. So yeah, this server is on Glama. However, Glama honestly sometimes can be a bit unstable, and sometimes it takes like a very long time for your server to start. Okay, so let's copy the connection URL for this MCP server as well. And now let me just add it to my newsletter agent. Okay, finally, we have these three agents almost created, because in my agency, actually the title generation agent and the YouTube content strategy agent, they also have their own custom tools. So custom tools are actually also incredibly important when you're building real production AI agents, because they give you way more control over the inputs and outputs. And the reason I added this as a custom tool and not as a Notion MCP, because if I were to use this with Notion MCP, it would also return a lot of garbage from the database, like for example, like all the other properties, a lot of like JSON and stuff, while here I can format the data exactly in a way I need and ensure that the agent doesn't get confused. And for the YouTube content strategy agent, I also built a tool to create transcripts. Well, actually, I didn't build it myself. Cursor literally one-shotted both of these tools, because the problem with YouTube's MCP is that the transcript tool almost never works, because this endpoint on YouTube's API is highly rate limited. So this is the third limitation that I'm already running into with OpenAI's Agent Builder, is that I have no way to deploy custom tools and I have no way to run my own custom code. While on our platform, you're not limited by anything because you can generate open-ended code. Okay, so the next part to this agency is the orchestration. So currently, in this agency on our platform, the YouTube content strategy agent communicates with 3 other agents. So let me show you how this actually looks like if we run this with a simple prompt. And here you can see how this agent is now communicating to the 2 other sub-agents. So this is the cool part about our platform, is that the main agent actually decides by itself who to communicate with next. And now, finally, at the end, we get these content ideas, like, for example, OpenAI's Agent Builder versus Zapier and N10, because probably this is what most people are talking about right now on Twitter. So overall, the experience here is a lot more agentic, because this primary agent, the YouTube content strategy agent, has more autonomy and it can decide by itself which next agent to talk to. And so if we were to rebuild this in this Agent Builder, this would unfortunately also not be possible, because here agents have way less autonomy over the communication flows. The only way I can actually allow agents to communicate with each other is by simply connecting them in a flow just like this manually. And again, this is not how it should be in 2025. This is just such an outdated old paradigm where, before we had to control everything that our agents do and control how they communicate to one another using like a specific predefined step-by-step process. While today, you really don't have to do that. If you're using a model like GPT-5 High or Medium, this model can easily determine the flow by itself. It can think about all the steps, it can fetch information from various sources, and then it can determine the next steps by itself. So if we were to recreate this on OpenAI's agent builder, I guess the only way for us to do this would be to add like another agent, like a router agent, which is honestly just a horrible pattern. This is, what I really don't like about many frameworks, like for example, Crew AI. They actually have this like other agent inside their code, which essentially just routes the request from one agent to another, and that just increases the latency a lot. That adds a lot of unnecessary complexity and just makes the system a lot more unsteerable, because now like you're not talking directly to the YouTube content strategy agent, you're talking to the router agent first, so you're relying on this router agent and like how it's gonna pass the information to another agent. So honestly, like it's a pretty horrible experience creating this like multi-agent system on OpenAI's platform so far. We've already ran into 4 different limitations, and now I have to like also spend a lot of time to like configure this router agent, because it has to like also go through the if-else statement, which is again, this is just so like 2023. There is really no reason to do this today. So let me quickly configure this now. Yeah, this is honestly a horrible experience. In our framework, all you need to do to add your agent to the agency is just add it into this parameter. So it literally takes only one line of code, and then instantly like this agent is going to be able to communicate with other agents in the system. While here, every time I need to add another agent, I have to like adjust the prompt for this router agent. I have to adjust the output format, and then I also have to add this dumb if-else statement, and only then I can route the request to this agent. So not only this whole paradigm with drag and drop is completely outdated, but also just defining the flow for your agents in advance just completely destroys the whole reason for adding agents in your systems in the first place. The reason you want to create agents is so that they could make decisions and take actions autonomously for you, while here I'm basically still defining what the agents need to do in like step-by-step process that they need to perform. So that can be useful. I want to make like a small remark that can be useful for certain workflows where like you want to get like a more consistent result. But for true AI agents, right now, this platform just doesn't seem very usable to me. So let's now actually go ahead and test this. So I guess the prompt also needs to be adjusted just a little bit here. So again, even if I want to adjust the prompt, I need to do this manually, which is so stupid. In our platform, if I wanted to adjust the instructions, all I had to do is just prompt cursor or Claude Code, and it will literally just do it for me. So let me send the message, the same one that I sent before earlier to our platform, generate ideas for my content. And unfortunately, we ran into an issue. So I'm not sure why we are running into an issue. I think this might be related to the MCP server. So yeah, servers on Llama usually take some time to start up, and I guess that could be the reason why it failed. So I'm desperately trying to make it work, but it seems like Llama is having some issues. Okay, so seems like Llama unfortunately is not working. Hopefully the Smithery MCP server is not gonna fail us, but for now I guess I'll have to remove the newsletter agent as well. Okay, so let's resend this message. So the router agent now routed me to YouTube content strategy agent, and now the agent starts to think about my requests. And yeah, the ideas that it generates are completely irrelevant. So yeah, unfortunately that didn't work. There is actually one use case where Agent Builder can be incredibly valuable, and I'll share it at the end. But for now, the next step is to deploy it. So in order to deploy this to production on OpenAI, we need to use ChatKit, which is a new library by OpenAI, which looks something like this. Essentially, it's like a set of pre-made chat components, which you can use and customize out of the box. So let's quickly deploy this using ChatKit. In order to do that, we're going to use their starter app. So let's quickly clone this repo. And now let's open it in Cursor. So I think literally the only thing that I have to do in order to deploy this is just replace the environment variables with my workflow ID. So let's copy, paste the env file, and now let me copy my workflow ID. Okay, and now I think it should already be ready to use. So let me just install the packages with npm, and let's run the dev server. So let's open this on localhost. And yeah, now we already have this basic UI where I can chat with my agents. So let's say I want to improve my titles. And yeah, we get the response from the title agent. However, here the app is actually not deployed. It's still running on my local host, which means that if you do want to put this into production, you would probably still have to add like a lot of other things like authentication, like database, and then also host it somewhere on a server. So although the integration was really simple and it only took me like a few seconds to integrate the agent into their app, the deployment process hasn't actually been solved. While on our platform, if you want to deploy your agents, all you need to do is just literally create this web app, select your agents there. You can actually also select which agents the user can talk to. Then you can also customize it in any way you want. You can add your own logo, name, fully white label it, and you can even control the security, meaning that you can only allow certain users to access your application without having to set up your own authentication and a database. And then literally you just click one button, deploy, and you can see that your agents are already hosted live, not locally, but on a shareable link that you can just copy and send to someone else. Either it's your coworkers or external users or your clients, and they will be able to use this application right away. However, most of our clients are actually not using this web app integration. They're using primarily Slack or WhatsApp or widgets, which allow you to put your agents also in a website widget like this. And unfortunately, that is not even possible with OpenAI's ChatKit. Integrating agents in Slack, for example, is the most common integration for our clients because this just allows them to communicate with their agents just like they're communicating with their own employees. So did OpenAI just really kill my startup? And I mean, as you might guess yourself, the answer is clearly no. And so right now, my verdict is that it's completely unusable if you're trying to build real AI agents. However, as I said before, there is one use case for this platform, and some people, a very specific audience, will find this feature extremely useful. And that audience is SaaS founders. So you see, what they really built this for is those copilot apps that we often see being added into SaaS platforms today, like Notion. Now, what does it mean for you as an AI agent developer? First, now integrating agents into SaaS products have just become significantly easier. This is clearly one of the most recent trends, and almost every SaaS platform today is trying to integrate something like this directly into their platforms. And so if you want to leverage this opportunity, what you can do is you can simply build such ChatKit UI AI agents for SaaS products. And what before would require tens of thousands of dollars and months of development can now be done literally in a few days. And the second thing that is clearly evident from this release is that OpenAI is going after agent builders. So although, of course, the first version of this agent builder is still pretty simple, but over time, the process of building agents is going to get completely automated. So in order to adapt for this, you need to understand that building AI agents was never the challenge. The challenge was, number one, knowing what to build, and number two, deploying AI agents to production. Knowing what to build is actually a lot harder than building AI agents yourself, even today. So understanding the requirements, communicating clearly with the client, finding out the ROI for the best opportunities in that business, those things will take a very long time to automate, if ever. Understanding these things requires so much context that it's extremely difficult to pass it all down to AI. Additionally, business owners will always prefer to work with someone who understands all the concepts of AI agents, even if the process of AI agents is fully automated. Because if you do understand the concepts, you can essentially check if the AI is doing something right or not. And so I think the same thing is going to happen with agent building as with vibe coding. Although today most of the code at big companies is already written by AI, the time it takes us to review code almost hasn't changed. And in fact, it's probably only going to increase now that AI can generate more and more code autonomously. And if you want to do that, the best way is to join our free school community, where I'm personally hosting workshops 1 or 2 times per week, and where I also have a lot of exclusive content that explains exactly that. All the concepts of AI agents and basically everything that you need to know in order to deploy your agent to production. So thank you all for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.